I was prematurely pushed to be something, to do something that I wasn't ready for. In my life as a young boy, nothing could prepare me for what I was going to have to endure as a little kid. Nothing. I mean, I've seen some crazy stuff. I come from a place where most young men don't make it out past the age of 18. They're either dead or they're in prison. I come from a little small place called Pontiac, Michigan, right outside of Detroit. And let me tell you now, as a grown-up, I don't fear many things because everything I feared has already happened to me. And so I want to take you on this journey with me so you can get a full understanding of who I am and why I'm so passionate about the work that I do every single day. Okay? There's something called a resilience theory, and it hits me. It's not the nature of adversity that's important, but how you choose to deal with adversity. And I met adversity. I was introduced to adversity at a very young age. I want to say around the age of 8 years old, I met adversity, and I wasn't prepared for it. And when I think about my life, which is often hard for me to do, I can recall the times my life was a living hell. And to be honest, I hated my life so much so, at the age of 10 years old, I contemplated and attempted suicide for the very first time. And most young kids, they're playing, they're enjoying life, they're living life, but not me. And I never thought at age 10, I wanted to end my life. And people look at me like, why? You're so young. Why at age 10 would you want to take your life? Because I was tired of the environment I grew up in. I was tired of both the physical and mental abuse. I was tired of not being able to take care of my mom when she was being abused by the hands of her boyfriends. I was sick and tired of seeing my brothers be mistreated, mouths slammed up against bedposts, being pushed down flights of stairs. I'll never forget one instance. My youngest brother's father, he was massive, about 6'4", 250 pounds. And I'm walking up the stairs to go to my bedroom, and he was in there giving my brother a bath. He had to be every bit of 2 or 3 years old. And as I walked up the stairs, I watched this grown man take my brother's head and push it under the water and try to hold it there. And my brother was screaming and crying and trying to get loose. And it wasn't until he locked eyes with me that he let him up. It changed my whole life. And I said, this is what I'm tired of. So I'll never forget it. It was one night, we was in our bedroom laying down, my brothers and I. We slept on the floor, and we had beds. I don't know why we slept on the floor. But this particular night, we slept on the floor, and our bedroom doors was always open. But on this night, it was closed. And I was waking up in the middle of the night to screams from my mom's coming from the next room, screaming for help. And I've heard this scream over and over and over again, but this time it was different. This time it was a matter of life or death. And so I woke up and I immediately ran to my door and I saw that it was closed. And I'm thinking to myself, why is my door closed? And so I go to my door and I try to pull on it, and it immediately slams shut. And I tried to open it again, and it slammed shut again. And I kept pulling with everything I had. And I could not get out of my bedroom door. But I mustered up the strength to pull, and I held on to it, and I peeked out. He had tied 2 belts, one to my mom's door and one to my door. Because he knew I was going to try to come to her aid like I did every time before. But this time he put a barrier there. I couldn't get out. And that was the day I said, you know what? I can't control the environment in which I grew up in. I can't control the parents I was born to. I can't protect anybody. I can't protect myself. But the one thing I can control is if I die or not. So I walked over to my 2nd story window. And I pulled back the window. And it was in the middle of the winter. I'll never forget it. And I looked out and it was pitch dark. And I stood on that ledge. And I just looked out. And tears dropped my eyes. And I'm going to be honest. Everything in me I wanted to live. I didn't want to die. But the pain that I endured on a daily basis said, end it all. So I was conflicted. I had an internal battle at that moment. stand on this second window ledge. Do I live or do I die? I said, because if I get down off this ledge, I'm going to have to walk right back into the hell that I've been enduring my entire life. So I stood there crying, looking out this window, and I said, you know what, I'm going to take one last look behind me to see everything I'm about to leave behind. And to my surprise, both of my brothers were standing up, holding each other, crying, not understanding what their older brother was about to do. But I didn't care if they understood. I understood what I was about to do. They didn't need to get it. I got it. And when I look back at them, everything that flashed through my head was, I can't protect you, and I'm sorry. I can't protect Mom. I'm sorry. But I heard a voice say, get out that window. You can't leave them here to fight this battle by themselves. And it startled me. And I got out of that window, and I went over and I held on to my brothers, and it seemed like we cried for eternity that night. But that's all I could do. Yeah, I was strong before I wanted to be strong. I was swift before I wanted to be swift. But I didn't know what I was going to need to endure some of the hell that I was going through. And people say, oh, you were so resilient. I didn't know if I was resilient or not. All I knew was I was trying to survive. So I said, Corey, are you resilient or are you surviving right now? Because it was survival instincts. I didn't know what resilience was. I said, I'm just trying to survive. And so that was my life on a continuum basis. It shook me. And you talking about adverse childhood events. I've seen more hell in my life than any kid should ever have to see at a very young age. So what does it mean to be resilient? It's the process and the outcomes of successfully adapting to difficult or challenging life experiences, especially through mental and emotional and behavioral flexibility and adjustments to external and internal demands.